You know, in a world where image often speaks louder than truth, respect has become a currency, rare, powerful, and absolutely essential. But here's the thing, too many of us are giving it away, piece by piece, without even realizing it. Not to others, but to habits, mindsets, and choices that are silently destroying the respect we've worked so hard to build. I've been there. I've seen people underestimate me, challenge my worth, and question my strength. And in those moments I had a choice to let it define me or to rise above it. What I learned along the way is this: respect isn't just something you earn from others. It's something you teach people to give you by how you carry yourself, how you speak, and most importantly, by what you allow. Today, I want to take you on a journey, a bold, honest look at the 5 things that are quietly sabotaging your respect from the inside out. Whether you're a woman fighting to be heard in a boardroom, a young person navigating identity, or someone who's just tired of being overlooked. This message is for you. Let's talk truth, let's talk transformation, and let's reclaim the power of respect, starting now. Tolerating disrespect in silence is one of the most dangerous things you can do to your self-worth. You might think you're being mature or that you're keeping the peace. Maybe you tell yourself that it's just not worth the argument, or that speaking up will make things worse. But every time you stay quiet while someone crosses a line, something inside you begins to dim. You send a message to the world, and worse, to yourself, that your boundaries don't matter, that your dignity is negotiable, and once that message takes root, it doesn't just destroy how others see you, it begins to erode how you see yourself. There's this unspoken rule, especially for women and people who have been conditioned to be nice. Stay agreeable, don't cause drama, be the bigger person. But here's the truth: nobody wants to admit being the bigger person doesn't mean being a doormat. There is nothing noble about tolerating disrespect. There is nothing powerful about shrinking so others can feel tall. You were not born to be quiet in rooms where your spirit wants to roar. And yet, every time you allow someone to talk over you, mock your ideas, undermine your worth, or treat you as if you're invisible, you hand over a little bit of your power, and respect, once lost, isn't always easy to get back. Think about the people in your life who command respect, not the ones who are feared or fake, but the ones who walk into a room and shift the energy just by being there. They're not loud for the sake of attention, but their presence says, "I know who I am, and I won't tolerate anything less than respect." That energy doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from knowing your value and refusing to stay silent when someone threatens it. Staying silent can be comfortable. It avoids confrontation. It feels easier than risking relationships or stirring conflict. But here's what no one tells you: silence doesn't keep peace. It only prolongs war within yourself. It makes you feel small. It makes you question your intuition, and over time it teaches people how to treat you. If you keep letting it slide when someone interrupts you, disrespects you, mocks your efforts, or crosses a line, you're silently teaching them that their behavior is okay. And they'll keep doing it, not because they're strong, but because your silence gave them permission. Speaking up isn't about aggression. It's about alignment with your values, your worth, and your boundaries. It might be a calm but firm sentence: "That's not okay with me," or "Please don't speak to me like that," or even a powerful silence followed by walking away. The point is, you don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight to be seen. You just need to decide that your respect is non-negotiable, and act like it. This shift can be uncomfortable. You might lose people. Some won't like the new version of you, the one who no longer tolerates disrespect, who doesn't laugh at degrading jokes, who sets boundaries and actually enforces them. Let them go, because every time you choose to speak up, you reclaim another piece of yourself. And the people who truly value you, they'll respect you more for it, because real respect isn't about fear or control. It's about mutual recognition of value, and that starts with how you treat yourself. So if you've been tolerating disrespect in silence, let this be your turning point. You deserve better, not just from others, but from yourself, because when you stop tolerating what you know you don't deserve, something powerful happens. You begin to rise. You begin to attract people, energy, and opportunities that match your newfound standard. And most importantly, you begin to respect yourself in a way that leaves no room for anything less. Over-explaining yourself to please everyone is one of the most silent destroyers of personal respect. It often starts innocently. Maybe you were misunderstood once, or someone questioned your intentions, and you felt the need to clarify. But over time, it becomes a pattern. You find yourself constantly justifying your choices, your feelings, your boundaries, and even your dreams. You try to make sure everyone is comfortable with your decisions, hoping that if you just explain enough, they'll understand and approve. But what you're really doing is putting yourself worth on trial every single day, handing over the gavel to people who were never meant to judge your life in the first place. There's a difference between being clear and being submissive. When you feel the need to repeatedly explain why you said no to a plan, why you took that job, why you didn't respond to a message, or why you're choosing a certain path, you're not just communicating, you're seeking validation. And when your self-respect depends on validation from others, you'll always be at the mercy of their opinions. You might not even realize it, but every time you over-explain, you're telling yourself that your voice alone isn't strong enough, that your no isn't complete without a paragraph of justification, that your yes is only worthy if everyone else agrees. This behavior often comes from a deep-rooted fear of rejection. You want people to like you, to accept you, to not think you're selfish, rude, or difficult. So you overcompensate, you smooth out your edges, you make yourself smaller so others can feel comfortable. But the truth is, people who truly respect you don't need a presentation slide to understand your choices. They respect your decisions even if they don't fully get them. They don't need 10 reasons for your boundaries. A simple "this is what's best for me right now" is enough. The problem is, the more you explain, the more permission people feel they have to question you. You open the door for opinions that were never invited. You invite scrutiny into places of your life that should be sacred, and you begin to believe that your choices only matter if others approve. Over time, this erodes your self-trust. You hesitate, you second guess, you stop making bold decisions because you fear the pressure of having to defend them, and slowly your confidence fades. There's also something incredibly powerful about quiet certainty. Think about the people who inspire you. Do they constantly explain themselves to the world? No. They speak with clarity, not desperation. They move with conviction, not apology. They know who they are, and that knowledge is enough. That's not arrogance, it's inner peace, and it's something you can have too. The next time you feel the urge to over-explain, pause, ask yourself, am I doing this because it's helpful, or because I'm afraid of being misunderstood? Is this explanation necessary, or am I trying to manage how others see me? Often, you'll find that the need to explain comes from insecurity, not intention. And the most powerful thing you can do in that moment is trust yourself enough to say less. You don't need to justify your no. You don't need to apologize for your silence, your ambition, or your boundaries. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation of your healing, your distance, your success, or your failures. The people who truly matter will understand, or at least respect you anyway, and those who demand endless justification for your choices, they were never for you in the first place. Respect doesn't grow in a space of over-explanation. It grows in confidence, in knowing your worth and not feeling pressure to sell it. When you stop trying to please everyone with your words, you begin to reclaim your power. You teach people that your decisions are final, your boundaries are firm, and your time is sacred. And in doing so, you stop being a people pleaser and start becoming the kind of person who earns real, lasting respect. Allowing toxic people to stay too long in your life is one of the most self-destructive choices you can make, even if it doesn't feel like a choice at first. Sometimes we hold on to certain relationships out of guilt, out of history, or out of fear of being alone. We tell ourselves they're not always like this, or maybe they'll change, or I've known them for so long. But the truth is, no amount of loyalty can excuse the damage someone does to your peace, your dignity, or your growth, and the longer you allow them to stay, the more power they take, not just over your life, but over your sense of worth. Toxic people don't always show up wearing a warning label. Sometimes they're charming, sometimes they're even people you love, family, close friends, romantic partners, or coworkers. But toxicity isn't just about how loud someone argues or how cruel their words are. Sometimes it's the subtle manipulation, the guilt tripping, the constant judgment that chips away at your confidence. Sometimes it's how they make you feel small when you should be proud, or how they always seem to twist your words, make you question yourself, or drain your energy after every interaction. And yet, we keep them around. Maybe because we're afraid of confrontation. Maybe because we've been conditioned to prioritize relationships over our mental health. Or maybe because deep down we believe that setting boundaries makes us selfish. But here's what you have to understand. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. You cannot build a strong, respectful life while constantly accommodating people who disrespect you, invalidate your feelings, or sabotage your growth. Respect begins with the courage to say, I will no longer make space for people who harm me. Every day you tolerate toxicity, you lose a part of your power. You start shrinking your dreams because they belittle them. You silence your opinions because they dismiss them. You avoid shining too brightly because their insecurity can't handle your light. You modify who you are just to keep the relationship functional. And eventually you start to believe that maybe you deserve this kind of treatment, that maybe this is just how relationships are supposed to feel. But that's a lie. Healthy love doesn't confuse you. Real friends don't make you feel like a burden. People who respect you don't keep tearing you down while calling it tough love. Cutting off toxic people isn't about revenge, it's about survival. It's about choosing to honor your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being over someone else's comfort. Yes, it's hard. You might feel guilty. You might feel like you're being dramatic. But let me tell you, walking away from people who consistently hurt you is one of the bravest, most powerful things you'll ever do. It's not easy, but neither is living a life weighed down by negativity that was never yours to carry. Sometimes letting go doesn't mean a dramatic breakup or confrontation. It might just mean creating distance. Answering less, prioritizing yourself, detaching with grace. It means redefining the relationship on your terms, or when needed, ending it completely. And while the short-term discomfort of doing this might sting, the long-term freedom it brings will heal you in ways you never imagined. You deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, not drain you, people who celebrate your wins, not resent them, people who hold you accountable with love, not shame. When you clear out the toxic people from your life, you make room for the ones who truly see you, respect you, and value the real you. And more importantly, you begin to show yourself that you're worth protecting, that your peace is worth defending. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until the damage is beyond repair. Take the steps now, because every day you allow toxic people to linger, you delay the life, the confidence, and the respect that's waiting for you on the other side of goodbye. Doubting your own voice and choices is one of the quietest ways you sabotage your respect. It doesn't always look like fear or failure on the outside. In fact, from the outside, you may seem confident, capable, and even admired. But internally, if you're constantly second-guessing yourself, wondering if you made the right decision, worrying about what others think, needing endless reassurance, then your foundation is already shaking. And the dangerous part, the world can sense it, even if you don't say a word. People treat you how you treat yourself, so when you show hesitation about your own worth, they respond with the same energy, doubt, dismissal, or control. Your voice is your power. It's the expression of who you are. Your truth, your instincts, your values, and your choices are the physical manifestation of that voice. When you doubt both, you're not just being indecisive. You're signaling that your identity isn't secure. That's where people begin to step in and make decisions for you, or sway your opinion, or question your authority. They'll offer unsolicited advice, try to redirect your path, or manipulate you into thinking they know better. And because you're unsure of yourself, you allow it. You hand over your power in small, subtle ways, and each time you do, your self-respect crumbles just a little more. What causes this self-doubt? Sometimes it starts young, when your ideas were dismissed or your emotions were invalidated. Sometimes it's the result of repeated failures or criticism. Or maybe you've just lived in environments that made you feel like your voice wasn't enough. But just because you've lived with doubt doesn't mean you have to carry it forever. The truth is, you already know what's right for you. Deep down, your intuition whispers it all the time. The problem is, you've learned to silence that whisper in favor of louder voices: society, family, partners, friends, or your own inner critic. Every time you silence your gut feeling, every time you say yes when you wanted to say no, every time you delay a decision because you're scared of making a mistake, you reinforce the belief that you can't trust yourself. And once that belief takes root, it's very hard to gain the respect of others, because people follow confidence. They trust those who trust themselves. Even if you mess up, if you stand by your choice and learn from it, people will admire your courage. But if you constantly shift, hesitate, or apologize for your existence, they'll start to see you as weak, even if you're not. Rebuilding self-trust takes practice. It means listening to your voice even when it shakes. It means making a decision and not running back to double check it every 5 minutes. It means owning your path without needing others to clap for every step. Confidence isn't about always being right. It's about being secure enough to make a choice, take the consequence, and keep moving forward. And when you do that consistently, your respect for yourself grows. Others begin to notice. They start to listen when you speak, trust your judgment, and see you as someone who knows who they are. It's okay to ask for advice or seek input, but never let someone else's voice drown out your own. The world is full of noise, but your clarity will only come from within. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. No one has the perfect answer. Everyone's figuring it out. So stop putting your own voice on mute while you wait for someone else to validate it. You already have the answers you need. You just have to trust that they're enough. When you stop doubting yourself, your energy shifts. You walk differently. You speak differently. You no longer seek permission to exist. You simply exist boldly and unapologetically. And that's when respect becomes effortless. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. So from this moment forward, make a decision. Your voice matters, your choices matter, and you will no longer shrink to fit someone else's comfort. That is how you reclaim your respect, by finally trusting the power of your own voice. Sacrificing boundaries for validation is one of the most painful ways people lose respect, not just from others, but from themselves. It often starts with good intentions. You want to be liked, you want to be accepted. You want to be seen as kind, generous, helpful, easy to get along with. So you say yes when you're tired. You agree when something inside you screams no. You stay quiet to avoid conflict. You let people cross lines because you're afraid that setting boundaries will make you seem rude, distant, or difficult. But what you're really doing is abandoning yourself for approval, and that's a cost you should never be willing to pay. Validation feels good. It's human to want to feel valued, appreciated, and seen. But when your sense of worth becomes tied to how others respond to you, you give away your power, and people can feel that. They sense when you're more concerned with being accepted than being respected. They know they can push your limits, cancel your plans, dump their problems on you, or take from your energy without giving anything back, because you won't push back. You'll keep showing up, keep giving, keep pretending you're fine, just for a smile, a thank you, or a moment of feeling needed. The truth is, boundaries are not walls, they're doors. They don't block people out. They show people how to enter your life with respect. But when you don't set those boundaries, or worse, when you set them and then let people violate them repeatedly, you teach others that your needs come last, and over time, this eats away at your dignity. You start to feel used, unseen, unappreciated. You become resentful, bitter, exhausted. But the thing is, you can't blame others for crossing lines you never enforced. You have to take responsibility for the energy you allow. and for the parts of yourself you've been silencing just to keep others comfortable. So many people, especially women, have been taught that being nice means being available all the time. That saying yes makes you lovable, that being accommodating makes you a good person. But here's a truth that will set you free. Real love, real friendship, real connection. None of it requires self-abandonment. You don't have to exhaust yourself to earn kindness. You don't have to betray your values to be accepted. And you definitely don't have to sacrifice your peace for someone else's approval. Anyone who only validates you when you're convenient to them is not someone who deserves access to your heart, your time, or your energy. The most respected people in the world aren't the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who say yes with intention and no without apology. They don't explain every boundary. They don't ask for permission to protect their time, their space, or their values. And people respect them more because of it. Because boundaries show strength, they show self-awareness. They say, I know what I need to function at my best, and I'm not afraid to honor that. That kind of clarity is magnetic. It draws people in, not the takers or the manipulators, but the ones who operate on mutual respect. It takes courage to stop seeking validation and start seeking alignment. At first, it feels lonely. You may lose people who are only there for what they could get from you, but the space they leave behind. That's where your peace will grow. That's where you'll find people who respect your no as much as your yes, who value your time, not just your effort, who see your worth without needing you to perform for it. The moment you stop sacrificing your boundaries for validation is the moment you step into true power. You begin to live from a place of wholeness instead of approval. You become the kind of person who respects themselves so deeply that others have no choice but to do the same. And that, right there, is how you stop begging for respect and start commanding it with your presence alone. Apologizing for being strong and ambitious is one of the quickest ways to lower how others perceive your value. Strength and ambition are not flaws. They're not things you need to downplay, soften, or hide to make others feel more comfortable. Yet far too often people, especially women, feel the pressure to apologize for shining too brightly, for speaking too confidently, for dreaming too boldly. They shrink their power to fit in rooms that were never built for them. They say sorry before sharing an idea, soften their tone when asserting themselves, or pretend to be unsure so they don't come across as intimidating. But here's the truth. The moment you start apologizing for your strength, you give others permission to underestimate you. Ambition should never be something you tuck away in fear of judgment. If you have goals, speak them. If you have a voice, use it. If you have power, own it. There is nothing arrogant about believing in yourself. But we live in a world that often punishes confidence in women and celebrates it in men. Strong men are seen as leaders, strong women are called too much, ambitious men are respected, ambitious women are seen as aggressive or selfish. This double standard pushes many to feel like they must tone it down just to survive. But playing small doesn't protect you. It only convinces people that you belong small. Every time you say sorry, for being direct, for having standards, for pursuing your purpose with focus and fire, you chip away at your own credibility. You might not even realize how often you do it, apologizing before you speak, downplaying your accomplishments, acting like your success was just luck or timing. But these subtle habits send a loud message: I don't fully own who I am. And people mirror that message back to you. They don't take your words seriously. They question your authority. They overlook you in conversations and decisions, not because you aren't worthy, but because you've unintentionally taught them not to see your worth. Owning your strength doesn't mean being loud, rude, or overpowering. It means being grounded. It means walking into every room with the understanding that you belong there not because someone allowed you to, but because you've earned it. It's knowing that ambition is not something to apologize for, but something to be proud of. Ambition is how dreams turn into action. It's how barriers are broken. It's how legacies are built. Why would you apologize for that? Some people will feel uncomfortable with your strength. Let them. Your job is not to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's fragile sense of self. Your job is to be fully, unapologetically you. Because when you give yourself permission to own your ambition, you give others permission to do the same. You become an example, not of perfection, but of authenticity. And authenticity is magnetic. People may not always agree with you, but they will respect you. Because deep respect is born from consistency, clarity, and courage, and none of those things require an apology. You don't need to apologize for leading, for choosing yourself, for dreaming beyond what people expected of you. You don't need to apologize for having boundaries, for raising your standards, or for refusing to accept mediocrity. The people who truly belong in your life will never ask you to apologize for growing. They will cheer for you, they will rise with you, they will match your energy. So let this be your moment of shift. No more shrinking, no more explaining your fire, no more softening your brilliance to keep others comfortable. You were not born to be neutral. You were born to rise, stand in your strength, move in your ambition, speak your truth, and never again apologize for the powerful, unstoppable force that you are. Because when you own that energy, you don't just demand respect, you redefine it. Respect isn't something you beg for, chase after, or earn by pleasing the world. It's something you cultivate from within. It's not about how loud you are, how many people approve of you, or how perfectly you walk the line others have drawn. It's about the quiet confidence you carry when you know your worth and refuse to let anyone compromise it. It's about making decisions that honor your peace, your values, and your future, even if those decisions are uncomfortable. In this journey we've taken today, we've uncovered 5 powerful truths: that tolerating disrespect in silence doesn't make you noble, it makes you invisible; that over-explaining yourself for approval chips away at your power; that keeping toxic people in your life isn't compassion, it's self-destruction; that doubting your voice only teaches others to do the same; that sacrificing your boundaries for validation will drain you; and that apologizing for your strength and ambition will only keep you small in a world that needs your light. Now it's time for a reset, a reclaiming of self-respect that starts not with others but with you. Because the way you carry yourself, speak your truth, protect your space, and chase your purpose, it teaches the world how to treat you. And when you start walking with that kind of conviction, everything changes. You attract better relationships, you make better decisions, you create a life that isn't just impressive to others, but deeply aligned with your soul. So stop shrinking, stop waiting for permission, stop tolerating less than you deserve. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to be liked by everyone to be respected. You just need to be real, be bold, be rooted in your truth. That's how you stop destroying your respect and start building a life that commands it. Starting today, make that your standard and never lower it again.